Somalia is now at a moment where there is more opportunity and more hope than there has been for at least a generation. And I think the general population is absolutely fed up with the war and the conflict and the suffering. And now they have a legitimate, credible, internationally recognized government in Somalia. So this is a great opportunity for the UN now to reintroduce itself into Somalia and work alongside the federal government, as we're mandated to do, to help them to build capacity, to help them with peace and reconciliation efforts, and also to help them with donor coordination too, which is a big part of the challenge. We've got at least 4 clear tasks. First is to use our good offices to support peace building and reconciliation. So a classic political mediation and advice role. Secondly is to support the federal government's efforts in building capacity, building institutions, and building the federal state. The federal constitution needs to be reviewed, discussed, finalized, and then voted on in a referendum, and that should happen by the end of 2015. And then after that, elections across the whole of Somalia by September 2016. And now the UN has a very large role to play in helping those processes, constitutional review and eventual elections, to take place. Thirdly, we have a task which is very important on human rights, and there again we have a role to help build capacity of the federal government and its institutions, to help them to protect and promote human rights. But also, and importantly, we have a mandate to monitor and report the human rights situation across the country. And that's also something we will be doing using the network of offices that we're establishing in Somalia. So we're present not just in Mogadishu, but in Garowe, in Baidoa, in Kismayo, and elsewhere soon as well. And then our fourth role is to help to coordinate the international community's assistance to the federal government. And that will be done very largely in the framework of the New Deal that has recently been endorsed at the conference in Brussels, which is really a groundbreaking landmark agreement. It's the most comprehensive New Deal compact which has been agreed under the Busan principles for fragile states. I think the key message for Somalis is really to lift their sights and look to the future. I do believe that they have turned the page now on 2 decades of civil war, which has been very much driven by clan affiliations, a scramble for resources and power, and now more recently, and it is recently, the additional complexity of the threat posed by Al-Shabaab, which is simply an organization trying to impose its own ideology and will upon a nation and upon a region, and by using violence and extreme violence and terrorism to do so. So I think the message really is that the time has come now to settle the differences that exist through dialogue, through consultation, through outreach, and there's plenty of opportunity now that the problems of Somalia, which are to do with how do they share resources and power amongst the different sort of parts and interest groups of the country, how do they do that in a federal system? And that's a political conversation, and it's a political discussion, and I'm very, very glad that people of Somalia now are engaging in that as a discussion and as a political process, and not trying to resolve it at the end of a barrel of a gun.